Chris, you've agreed to an interview today, so we'd all love to know about you being a well-known writer. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I don't know about well-known writer. I was born in the UK 68 years ago, so we don't have a 5-hour long video. I'll tell you briefly. I lived all my life in UK. I earned all my money in the UK. I'll never put down the UK, but my dream was to always come and live in Cyprus. And here I am. I've been here 15 years now. I don't regret moving here. I'm very happy in Cyprus, apart from personal circumstances, which we've all got our problems. What can I tell you about me? I wasn't born a writer. It's something that developed. I always liked writing after school because I hated school. I was never a scholar. I left school when I was 15, or as soon as I was humanly possible to leave. But there's something about a nice clean bit of paper and a nice pen. Just write. I used to like the feeling of writing. I weren't writing anything in particular. That's how it started all those years ago. Eventually, someone said to me, I like it because I used to write a bit of poetry, stuff like that. People, friends and relatives read it. I don't know if they were just being kind, but they said it was good, you should do writing. And it was always in the back of my mind that one day I'll give it a go. Okay. How it actually started, my first taste of actual published stuff, was I started doing a writing course. An ex-girlfriend bought me a correspondence writing course, which I studied. It seemed good. She had paid out for it, so I thought, okay, let's do it, And my teacher prompted me to buy these magazines, like Take a Break and Best Magazine, Woman's Own and Woman, and the type of magazines I mean.
Yes.
And in there's always a letters page. And start writing, this is the slow start. Start writing letters for their letter pages, interesting letters, and send them. See what happens, which I did. And the best one, the first one I ever saw my name in print was I got some medication. I think it was a strong flu medication. And I was reading the little slip that they put inside, telling you about the side effects and so on. And the side effects, it was like 50 different, causes severe drowsiness, may cause diarrhea, may cause this, may cause that. And it struck me as like, hang on, I've only got a cold, and I'm not going to risk taking, so I wrote a letter about it, and they published it.
Where was that?
In Best magazine.
Best. Okay. Yeah,
it was like, I'd rather have a cold, risk taking this medicine. They thought it was quite interesting, so it got published. But it wasn't the subject matter that was exciting. It was me in a magazine. I had this smile on my face for weeks.
How old were you at the time?
Oof, this was about 30 years ago. So
that's right. So the writing has been a big part of your life then.
Yeah.
It's not just in the last decade or so.
When I actually felt I was good enough, if you ever believe you're good enough, to put my work forward for publishing. How it started was this stray dog walked into our house in Cyprus. Okay, we had the door open, it was summer, and this little thing that big came into our house and went and sat down on the floor next to my wife's legs. And I thought it was a rat. I was on the computer at the other end of the room and I saw this thing out the corner of my eye. And it was a dog, when I looked. And of course, I called my daughter, this, can we keep it and all this shit. I'm not allowed to say shit. So I started talking about this dog on a forum, the Eastern Cyprus Forum, which I belong to because I like to keep in touch with what was going on, you know, expats and things like that. And I was letting, you know, like a diary about this stray dog, you know, and I was getting lots and lots of interest. You know, people were responding to it. And, you know, oh, what's Flora doing? Because that's what my daughter decided to name her, Flora. So, one bloke says to me, he was an ex-pilot actually, he said to me, you should write a children's book about Flora. And I said, I'll think about it, you know, why not? Anyway, that's exactly what I did, and that was my very first book published, was Flora. The Adventures of Flora, or something like, I can't remember the exact title, I think it was just called Flora. And it flew off the shelves, you know, and grown-ups were buying it as well, because it was, you know, I had pictures in there of the dog, of its first year growing, and its kennel that we bought, and the fence I had to build to keep it in the garden, and there was a lot of interest, you know, and I had it all in this book, and it was the first book I published, but it was only on Kindle, because I didn't know how to go about paperback, etc., until I got involved with Amazon. Anyway, a year had passed, and I thought, oh, I'm going to write another, you know, Flora I'm Back, it's called the second one. And I wrote about her visits to the vet and things like this, you know. And then I did the Flora, my something rhymes. I've got the book over there, I forget the exact title, but what I did was, I wrote the alphabet, A is 4, and wrote 3 or 4 verses of a poem about Flora, but with using the word A, and B and C, so it was for children, you know. So they're learning the ABC and they're reading something of interest. And I've tried to do it in a humorous way as well. And, you know, those 3 books sold quite well. Since then I've written 11 more books, but different subjects obviously. Another popular one is the Only in Cyprus series. I've written 2 of those. To this day, I mean, they were published, the first one was published in 2014. We are now in 18, and I wrote another one mid 14 and 18, and I've just finished the 3rd, which will be published hopefully by Christmas, if not early New Year. And those books, I sell copies every day.
Wow.
Without fail. I go to the Amazon website where I'll see any reviews I get and the sales. And every day, even if it's one of those books is sold. The other day I looked and there was 6 on one day, you know, so I can't grumble.
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So if you were to think of the pinnacle of your writing career, what would you like to write or aim to write in the future?
Well, to be honest, Anthony, I think we've all got this thing about writing our biography. I think it's the first thing people think of when they think about writing, right? And I think everybody should write their biography, even if it's not for publication, because it's bloody good therapy, just to get your story down. Okay?
Absolutely.
Whether it be good or bad, your life. It's worth putting on paper so you can read it and you'll recognise so many things by doing that, and you'll feel an elation.
But it can be quite traumatic as well.
It can frighten you. Did I really, you know, do this and live through that? But it's good. It's good for the soul, believe me. Because I started doing my biography because that was my ultimate aim, and I started from as far back as my mind could remember, which was about 4 or 5 years old when we came to Cyprus, me and my mum, by boat. It took 12 days, right, this is 1955, we came by boat to Cyprus, and I remember little things. So I started from my earliest memory and wrote and wrote and wrote, you know. When I got to my teenage years and mid-20s, around there, I realised the stuff I was writing, you couldn't make it up. People won't believe people won't believe, because I was involved with wrong people. Being born in Hackney, the East End, you know, pretty rough at the time then. We used to go to Henry Cooper's gym in Bethnal Green, you know, and the people that used to go in the pubs there are not very savoury, believe me. And you can't help, if you're drinking in there, you're going to get involved. And I did get involved. I won't say too much more about that, but the point is, I was excited about writing it. I thought, well, this will make a good thriller. And that's what it turned out to be. I wrote 2 books about that, which should have been my biography. I called it Tony's World, because I wasn't going to call it Chris's World. The first one is called Indoctrination, which is how I got involved with these wrong people. And the second one is called No Escape. And I can say, hand on heart, 50% of it is absolutely true. The other 50 is fiction for the sake of the thriller book. And you'd have to buy it and read them to decide for yourself which you think is true and which isn't, you know.
When you were writing it, did it get painful at any point?
Yes, many times, especially when it was to do with my dad. You shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but my dad was never really a true dad. Whatever a true dad is these days, I don't know. I try to be a good dad. My dad used to see us all as a burden. He used to tell us that, which made it worse. You know, 4 kids sitting in his bedroom on a Sunday. He's got all these bills spread out on his bed. Look at this electricity bill. I don't use the electricity in this house. I'm out all day working. Look at it, you know, and like we're little kids. He's putting us on this guilt trip, you know. Look at a phone bill, you know. I've never used the phone in this house. Who uses the phone? I said, well, ask Mum. We don't use it. Who are we going to call it 10 years old? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, he put a lock on the phone. Anyway, that's basically a brief description of my dad. That's how he was. He was completely antisocial. He never picked us up once, stroked us, told us he loved us, nothing. You couldn't get close to him. That hurts, writing all of that. But it was good. From the other side, it was good. You know, to get it off your chest. It still makes me sad. It's gone, you know, it's past.
It must have brought a lot of cultural
A lot.
differences to your mind, but again, as a Cypriot by birth, born in the UK, you could say that you're an expat by descent over there, and you're an expat by birth when you come over here. Because over there, even though you were born there, you were born to Cypriot parents. When you come here, your parents were Cypriot, but you were born here. So you're a foreigner in both places.
Absolutely.
How did that impact on your life?
It was difficult. The one good thing my dad did do was insist, because he was very traditional, and he insisted that we learn Greek. Right? Now bear in mind, there's 4 of us kids, all going to English school, all got English friends, also, you know, it had nothing to do with Cypriot tradition really, apart from the food we were eating, which was traditional. And I thank him for that, because I learnt to read, write and speak Greek, okay? Which, look how handy that's become now I'm in Cyprus, you know, it's opened a lot of doors. I always felt a foreigner in the UK. Although I was born in the UK, I was always bullied at school because my skin was a bit darker than theirs, and in those days there weren't many foreigners in the schools, believe me. I used to go to a school in Silver Street, Palmer's Green, off the North Circular Road, called Huxley Secondary. It was an all-boys school, and I think there was me and one other bloke who had dark skin. And he was an Indian, I was British, dark skin. So I was called a Paki every day, and kids at school. Until this really great big Greek Cypriot came to the school, and we joined forces, and we became the bullies. But that's another story. That's in my book, actually.
So you moved back to Cyprus when?
2004, but I dreamed about living in Cyprus since the 70s. When I came over here in the 70s, honeymoon in fact, went to my mum's village in Usher with my then wife. And I thought, what a lovely life this could be. I loved the old Cyprus, the village life, the tradition. I love, some of the tradition is ridiculous, but mostly I love it. Cyprus is not like that, unfortunately, anymore. They call it progress, but I think we're just ruining the country. But that's my personal view. I still enjoy being in Cyprus. I've been here, like I say, since 2004. I've got no regrets. I would never go back and live in the UK. Never. They say never say never, but I wouldn't. I'll go and visit when I like. And I love coming back to people like you,
So when you came here, how was the reality compared to your dream?
Okay, that's a good question, Anthony, because when I came here, well, mind you, it took a year to build my house. I used to come to Cyprus every 2 months because I had agreed with the builder that I would pay him in stages. I want to see the work before I give you any money. So every 2 months I'd come over, I'd say to him, when you finish plastering the walls, there's another 10 grand. When you put the tiles down, there's another 10. So that way it helped me pay it off, and it helped him because he'd get on with it. Okay, so my house is ready. I'll bring my wife and 6-week-old daughter over. I furnished it and everything before they came over, got it ready for them, and it was holiday time. That up here, I was on holiday. I'm 53, whatever I was. 52, 53. So it weren't long before by 11 o'clock in the morning, I'd be drunk. I'd be sitting out on my veranda, looking at my lemon tree that I planted, drinking brandy at 11 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, luckily I had the sense to see what I was doing, because it was all a holiday, isn't it? It's all new. Oh, look at this, what I'm doing. And I thought, if I carry on like this, I'm going to be dead by the end of the year. Got to do something, so I went to work. I was able to then, before I had my illnesses, etc. So I went and worked in the hotels in Ayia Napa, had a brilliant time, goes without saying. A bit of bar work, a bit of waiting, a couple of quid, not much in those days. Half what they pay you now, what they call it the living wage. I think I was getting about £350, Cyprus pound. But it weren't for the money. I didn't need the money. It was to get me out of what I was getting into. And then one year I went to work, got out the car, fell flat on my face, I had a heart attack. And that's when my life really changed for the worse. This is 3 years in. I went into some sort of depression. Then 2 years after that, I was diagnosed with COPD, which is a lung disease, through the heavy smoking I used to do. So that put me back down again. Then I had a few kidney problems. And I went in a very, very, very dark place. Cyprus, I could have been in the North Pole, it wouldn't have mattered. Life was not good. Consequently, it led to my divorce again, and here I am. Here I am, mentally. I'm getting over, these things happen. I'm not the first and I won't be the last. There's people 1,000 times worse off than me, worse off than I'll ever be. So I enjoy my writing when I've got nothing to do. If I can find the odd friend to go and have a coffee with, I do that. And I'm happy. I still see my daughter, luckily. That's my life at the moment.
So, to people in their 40s and 50s who grew up in the UK, Cypriot descent, or maybe not, who were thinking to move here, what would you say?
My advice? Right, it depends on first the reasons why you want to move. Yeah. Look at that. After looking at that, if you still feel you want to live in Cyprus, do your research very, very well. Because I'm ashamed and embarrassed to say, but in Cyprus there's a lot of corruption. You know, when I say do your research, it depends. I mean, you're 40, 50, probably got a couple of kids. Look at schools, look at where you want to live. So I would recommend anyone with those thoughts, come, rent a property for a year, so you get to see a summer and a winter. Rent the property, don't sell up and just come lock, stock and barrel, you know. And do your research, live it. Because we're not all accepted, you know. I still feel there's a slight prejudice against Charlies, if you don't mind me calling it Charlies, because that's what we are, you know, Anglais or Gibré.
To them, yes.
Yeah, they think, you know, our parents deserted Cyprus and went to where the streets were paved with gold and made loads of money, and now they're coming back and buying all the houses, and it's not like that at all. But, you know, some of us are ignorant, and unfortunately some of us think that way. I would say come to Cyprus, but for the right reasons.
Are you saying really that to some of the people is, if they're moving to Cyprus, to come here because they want to run to Cyprus and not because they want to run away from the UK?
Not because you want to run away, because if you want to run away, Cyprus is not the only other country on the planet if you just want to run away. But if you want to come to support Cyprus as a Cypriot, which is what would be expected of you, by all means, you know, it can be a lovely life. I mean, for a retired person, it's perfect. If you've got no need for money or to work, I mean, if you have to come over here to work and school a couple of kids and so on, it's much, much harder. So this is why I say come for a year, look at the schools, put your kids in schools, you know, and see, they might not get on with it. You know, I know 90% of my daughter's class is foreigners, Russians, Bulgarians, Romanians, and they don't speak a word of Greek. I don't know how they teach them anything, I really don't. I really don't. You know, so look at these things. And when buying property, make sure you've got title deeds, because I know people have been waiting 20 years and still haven't got their title deeds. Some crooked developer is into the bank for millions, so the bank won't release the deeds. I know loads of people like that, especially at the east end of the island, where it's all UK expats. You know, they roped them in, they saw them coming, mate.
Thank you. So when you finish your next book, can I come back and interview you again? You can tell me about your book when it's ready.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. It'd be my pleasure.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you.
You're welcome, Anthony.